football. Hi, I'm Joe Daniel from JoeDanielFootball.com and the Football Coaching Podcast. And I want to thank you for checking out this 3-video series on the 4-2-5 defense system and the 3 key principles that you need to build a dominant 4-2-5 defense. And in fact, this is going to go for any defense, no matter what you run. We're going to be talking today about the umbrella principle, which is one of the most important pieces of defensive knowledge that I have learned. When I first started learning the 4-2-5 defense, I went into a deep dive studying TCU, and this is one of the things I picked up from Gary Patterson's defense, the 4-2-5 defense that is so successful down there. And the umbrella principle not only applies to the 4-2-5, this is something that applies to any defense. And if you're an offensive guy, you can use this to find ways to attack your opponents and find ways to break their defense. So when we're looking at this, the umbrella basically goes over your front. So in our 4-2-5 defense, we have our 4 down linemen. We have a 3 technique and a 1 or a shade. Played a lot of 2-eye too. It just depends on what the situation is. We have a 5 technique and a 6 or a 7, 6-eye inside shade, depending on how you want to play it. We have 2 linebackers that are 30 techniques, 5 yards off the ball, outside shade of the guards. And then we have the back end, what makes it a 4-2-5. Now, it looks very similar to a 4-4 here. It really is the same as a 4-4 when we're in this cover 3. But the umbrella doesn't care if you're in a cover 3, cover 1, or split field coverage like we run in our 4-2-5 defense system. We teach cover 3, cover 1, and split field coverages depending on your situation and what you need. But the truth is the umbrella always stays intact. It stays intact as well in our 33 stack defense, our 3-4 defense, and our 4-3 defense systems in JDFP Insider. It's a multiple front approach to coaching football. Underneath the umbrella, we have our spill defenders. So your spill defender's job is to spill the ball to the outside. This is a conceptual way of thinking. This isn't, you can't be just, completely black and white with this. But your guys are responsible for the inside half of their gap. And so that's why I say we do play a lot of 2-eye, but we start out teaching in this 1 technique. Your guys are responsible for the inside half of their gap, and even that 6 technique defensive end, he's actually responsible for the inside half of the C gap. But what this means is that they are always going to take offensive linemen on who create the gap. They're going to take them on their outside shoulder, and they're going to not allow any air to the inside. And any lead blocker or ball carrier, they're going to attack his inside half. You may be thinking of a wrong arm. We don't teach a wrong arm. Wrong arming just happens. It happens because of the way that we do things. But we don't have to tell our players, hey, you're going to wrong arm this, because we don't want them thinking that much. The overlying principle of everything is coach simple, play fast, win. So what this means is, for example, if we get a blocker, let's say that we get a lead blocker coming to our weak side B gap, like a weak side ISO, then our will backer would attack that, scraping paint with the guard and attacking the inside half of the ball carrier. A lot of guys will ask, well, if he has the inside half of the gap, who has the outside half of the gap? And my argument is always the gap shouldn't be that big. So we take him on, and that forces the ball carrier. The ball carrier sees, okay, there's no space in A gap, there's no space in B gap, C gap is there, and then this guy is going to be there to force the play. And we'll get to those guys in just a minute. So that's the concept for the spill players, is to spill the ball to the outside, to always control the inside half of their gap and force the ball to bounce to the outside. Now, where the umbrella comes in is that the weak safety and the strong safety, they're like protectors of the umbrella. The spill guys are trying to force everything outside of the umbrella, trying to spill it out of the umbrella. And if you turn it upside down, it does look like an umbrella. The weak safety and the strong safety, they are the force. So they are trying to force everything back into the umbrella, but we don't say that. The wording that you want to use is he must force a change of direction in the ball carrier. This is what's going to make these guys successful. We used to teach contain. We'd say, hey, you got to contain it. You got to keep it to the inside. It's just words, but that smart kid goes and runs to the bottom of the numbers and goes, there, went inside of me. Contain. Okay? Contain didn't get the message across. We need to force a change of direction in that ball carrier. So if now we look at a run this way, inside half of the gap is closed off, again, he's going to, depending on his block, he would either be fighting that reach, or let's say he was fighting the reach, the Mike backer would take the inside half of the gap there on his read. We don't talk to linebackers about gap fits, okay? They fit open doors, linebackers fill open doors. But the key is everything is closed off and bounces. Force means he must either force this guy to turn back to the inside, where I have pursuit and the alley player in just a minute, or bubble around me so that players now have a chance to chase him down from the outside, from the inside. So he must force a change of direction. Obviously, if that guy doesn't cut back and doesn't bubble around me, I'm going to tackle him. That's how it works. Same thing, if he doesn't spill, I'm going to tackle him. So that is how the force defender works in our system with the umbrella. Now, the last piece is the alley. Actually, not the last piece. One of the last pieces is the alley, the free safety. Now, in your 4-2-5 defense, your best player, your best football player, the guy who can run, who can tackle, who can do it all, you want him to be that free safety. Your defense is going to be dependent on how good that guy is. Even though we have 4 down linemen, you really only need 1 stud defensive lineman there, your best defensive lineman at the 3 tech. You can play with a variety of different types of linebackers, but we're going to need a good player at that free safety. When we force and we spill, the free safety plays the alley. The alley is the space between the last spill player and the force player. It's not a spot on the field. It's not, the hash or halfway between the hash and the numbers. The alley is wherever the last spill player and the force player come together. So if this guy's running here, and let's say that the Mike backer scrapes, the alley is right there. And that's where he is going to fit into the run fit. So your alley defender fits between the last spill player and the force player. He's going to make a lot of your tackles, so you want to have a really good football player there. The faster that he gets there, the better the play is going to be. The last thing is the corners. In this situation, they are stay in coverage. In one season, we lost 2 football games because these guys, none of their fault, it's coaching's fault. The stay in coverage guy came out of coverage and you get a pass thrown to a wide open guy down the field. You get some wing T team, that does a really good play action. That guy starts coming up to make a tackle. Ball goes over his head. Extremely important that these guys stay in coverage. Whoever your 2 deep guys, if you're a cover 2 team, then it's your 2 deep safeties. It's not always the corners. In our cover 1, it's usually the corners. It's usually the corners in split field coverage. It's usually the corners in cover 3. So you have some guys that are playing deep in order to handle those, double pass, toss pass kind of thing. They don't come out of coverage until the ball is gone past the line of scrimmage. We tell them 5 yards past the line of scrimmage just to emphasize it. So they are stay in coverage guys. So we have the spill, the force, the alley, and the stay in coverage guys. Once your guys understand the concept of the umbrella, they can literally step into any position on the field and understand what they are supposed to do, what their job is at that position. Now, there's a lot more nuance to it, and we're going to get into some of those things in the next video where we talk about our ASCA, alignment, stance, key read, and assignment, which is basically everything that a defensive player has to do on a given play. That's going to be in the next video, so be on the lookout for that coming to your email inbox soon.